Hey everyone, I'm Axel from HitFilm, and in today's tutorial we are going to look at a couple of quick tricks for working with 3D models inside of HitFilm Pro 2017. So here are the two things we will be looking at today: cutaway views and wireframes. I'm starting this tutorial in a project with a model already imported. We already have tutorials discussing how to import models, so do check those out if you want to learn more about that. Today, we are going to focus on a few of the interesting things you can do with a 3D model once it is imported. First off, cutaway views. Suppose you have a 3D model with an interior and you want to create a cutaway view to see what's inside. How do we do that? It's actually super fast and simple. Right-click on our camera layer in HitFilm and select Properties. Change the near clip to 1500, hit OK, and Bob's your uncle. There it is. There you have it. That's all there is to it. It's as simple as that. How easy was... Okay, I am going to explain that a bit more. I will undo that by pressing Command-Z or Control-Z if you're on Windows, and let's see how this works. We are going to define what is rendered based on the distance of the objects from the camera. So in this scene, our camera is positioned at 1600 in Z space, and the model is positioned at 0. So the distance from the camera to the center of the model is 1600. Yep, math skills. But honestly, this might seem simple with our model at 0, but once you get a more complex scene with objects scattered all over, it can get trickier to determine these distances. Still, here's a simple trick to make it easy to determine the distance between two objects regardless of where they are positioned and without requiring math. If you want to know how far the camera is from any given object, just parent that object to the camera. When an object is parented, its position is recalculated relative to the position of the parent. So let's create a point layer, make it 3D, and move it to a random position away from the default 0 position. Now, how far away is the camera from that point? Parent the point to the camera, check the position, and there you go. The position value now tells us exactly what the distance is between those two layers. Then just undo the parent once you have that value. In this case, I'm just going to delete the point entirely since we don't actually need it for this tutorial. Getting back to our tutorial, right-click the camera and select Properties again. This gives us access to two properties of the camera which define the area that will be rendered. By default, they are set up so everything will be rendered, but we can edit them whenever we want. The near clip distance is the closest point at which objects will be rendered. So if we set the near clip to 1500, as we did earlier, anything less than 1500 points from the camera will be clipped or invisible. Far clip distance is basically the opposite. Anything farther from the camera than that value will not be rendered. For example, if we set the far clip distance to 1700, then only the range from 1500 to 1700 from the camera is visible, and we cut both the front and back off the chopper. And if you look at the top view, let me reset the clipping distances real quick back to their defaults and switch to top view. The viewing angle of the camera is represented by this triangle. When you change the clipping distance, the triangle will also be clipped, so you can see where the visible area will begin within the 3D view of your scene. So there we are. It takes longer to explain than to actually do it. The second thing I thought we would look at is wireframes. These are also very quick to create, but there are a few more controls available to customize them. So, find the wireframe effect and drag it onto the model. Immediately we get a result. The default options show a wireframe based on the mesh of the actual model, and use the color of the model as well. If you want to use a specific color, then you can switch the material to solid color, and then select whatever color you want. Maybe that cool computer screen green that they use in movies. Then let's add some glow to it. Yeah. Or, white. Render mode lets us change the makeup of the wireframe. If you want to see through the model, you can select all triangles or front-facing triangles. I find that this works best with models that are relatively simple, though, as it can quickly become difficult to see what's what when there are thousands of polygons overlapping one another. Maybe that sort of complexity is just what you are trying to convey though. I don't know. And if you would rather not use the actual mesh of the model, we can switch the type to grid, and then define the density of our grid using the size and the other controls that appear. If watching movies has taught me anything, it's that wireframes may as well not even exist unless they rotate. So I have included a couple of keyframes on the Y rotation of this control point, which will rotate our model. Let's preview this and see what we get. Has anyone in a movie ever planned a heist or a hostage rescue without a computer showing a rotating 3D model of something? I don't think so. So now, there you go. You are ready to plan your own high-tech operation. We also have the option of illuminating the wireframe using our scene lights if we want to. And the blend modes give you options for blending the wireframe onto the top of the actual model, so both are visible at the same time, if you want to do that. Again, this is an effect that gives almost immediate results, but then you can also fine-tune those results to get just the look you want. So, I hope you find these tips useful, and I'm sure you will come up with some ways to use them that are even cooler than what I have shown in these examples. So thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye.